Belgian Malinois rescues in the United States report that the breed is among the most frequently surrendered dogs in the country. Not abandoned strays, surrendered, meaning someone bought one deliberately, took it home, and eventually drove it to a rescue organization because they could not manage what they had purchased. The average surrender age is somewhere between 8 months and 2 years. That window is not a coincidence. That window is exactly when the breed becomes what it was always going to become, and the owner realizes they were not prepared for it. Nobody warned them. That's what this is about. The Belgian Malinois is one of 4 Belgian Shepherd varieties, the others being the Tervuren, the Groenendael, and the Lekenois. All 4 were developed in Belgium in the late 19th century from regional herding dog stock, differentiated primarily by coat type and color. The Malinois takes its name from Malines, the French name for Mechelen, a city in the Flemish region of Belgium where the short-coated fawn and black variety was concentrated. The Belgian Kennel Club formally registered the breed in 1901. By the time World War I began, the Belgian military was already deploying them as message carriers, ambulance dogs, and light artillery pullers. The working utility was obvious early. What the herding background means specifically is worth understanding before anything else. A herding dog isn't a dog that was trained to herd. It's a dog with modified predatory motor sequence built into its neurology. The full predatory sequence in a wolf runs: orient, stalk, chase, grab, kill, consume. Herding breeds have a sequence that runs: orient, stalk, chase, and then stops. The kill and consume were bred out over centuries. What remains is an animal that is neurologically compelled to track movement, position itself relative to moving things, and control the direction of whatever is moving. This works on sheep. It also works on bicycles, joggers, children running in a garden, and cars. The behavior isn't malfunctioning. It is functioning exactly as designed. The design is just pointed at the wrong targets. The Malinois has this herding sequence running at a higher intensity than almost any other herding breed, and layered on top of it is prey drive that the military and police communities have been selectively amplifying for decades. The United States military began transitioning significantly toward Belgian Malinois from German Shepherds starting in the 1990s, with the shift accelerating through the 2000s. The reasoning was practical. The Malinois is lighter. Males run 25 to 30 kilograms versus the German Shepherd's 30 to 40, which matters when the dog needs to be carried by a handler during operations or tandem jumped from aircraft. The Malinois is faster. It can sustain approximately 48 kilometers per hour. It has, by working dog community consensus, higher sustained drive than the German Shepherd, meaning it maintains focus and intensity under conditions that cause other breeds to disengage. The United States Special Operations Command accelerated use across SEAL teams, Delta Force, and other units. The dog that participated in Operation Neptune Spear in 2011, the Bin Laden raid, was a Belgian Malinois named Cairo, assigned to SEAL Team 6. That detail went public. The media ran with it. The breed's profile in the American market changed almost immediately. Demand increased substantially after 2011, and then again after the John Wick film series, which prominently featured Malinois in action sequences. Breeding operations expanded to meet demand that was increasingly coming from people who wanted a dog that looked like what they'd seen in news coverage and film, not from people prepared for what the dog actually required. The rescue organizations began filling up roughly 18 months after each demand spike. The math is straightforward and depressing. Here is what the surge buyers encountered that they weren't warned about. The puppy phase in this breed is not a normal puppy phase. Working dog community forums use the term shark phase, informally but consistently, to describe Malinois puppies between roughly 6 and 18 months. The mouthiness is severe enough that new owners frequently assume something is wrong with the individual dog. Bite inhibition develops more slowly than in lower drive breeds, and the intensity behind it is higher. The puppy is not being aggressive, it is playing. The distinction matters legally and behaviorally, but at 2 a.m. when a Malinois puppy has latched onto your forearm for the 4th time in an hour, the distinction is hard to appreciate. The adolescence period, 8 months to roughly 2 years, is when the drives that were manageable in a smaller puppy body start running through a full-sized animal with full-sized speed and full-sized jaw pressure. This is the surrender window. The adolescent Malinois that isn't receiving structured training, consistent mental engagement, and 2 or more hours of genuine physical work per day will find its own outlets. These outlets typically include destroying furniture, fixating on and chasing anything that moves, redirected herding behavior toward children, and in some cases, barrier frustration that escalates to aggression toward people in the dog's environment. Separation anxiety in this breed is not the low-level distress that some dogs show when left alone. It can be severe, producing behaviors that look, on video footage, almost indistinguishable from a dog in genuine psychological crisis. The breed's intense bonding to its primary handler, called the Velcro dog tendency in breed literature, means that absence of the handler triggers an acute stress response. Working Malinois handlers describe the bond as demanding in a way that most pet owners are not accustomed to from dogs. The dog is tracking its handler constantly. It adjusts its behavior in real time to the handler's emotional state. This makes it an extraordinary working partner and an exhausting companion for someone who wanted a low-maintenance pet. The health picture is one of the few areas where the Malinois holds up comparatively well. Hip dysplasia rates are measurably lower than in German Shepherds, a finding consistent across multiple orthopedic foundation datasets. The breed's average lifespan of 14 to 16 years is long for a dog its size. Progressive retinal atrophy exists in some lines and should be tested for in breeding dogs. Epilepsy is documented. Overall, the Malinois is structurally sounder than many of the large working breeds it's compared to, which is part of why the military values it. A dog that stays physically functional through 6 to 8 years of operational service needs a body that holds up. What doesn't hold up, in the wrong environment, is the dog's mental state. There's a behavioral pattern documented in understimulated high-drive dogs, not exclusive to Malinois but prominent in the breed, that working dog trainers describe informally as obsessive-compulsive redirection. The dog fixates on a specific stimulus, often a moving object or light reflection, and begins tracking it compulsively in a loop that doesn't resolve. It looks like the dog is playing. It is not playing. It's a drive state with no appropriate outlet that is latched onto whatever was available. Once established, it's extremely difficult to interrupt and nearly impossible to extinguish completely. The dogs that arrive at rescue organizations with this behavioral pattern are among the hardest to rehome. The Malinois is not a dangerous breed, it is a demanding one, and the distinction matters. Danger implies the problem is in the dog. Demand means the problem is in the match between the dog and the environment it's placed into. A Malinois with an experienced handler, structured work, consistent training, and a life that gives it something real to do is one of the most capable, responsive, and genuinely impressive animals in the domestic dog world. The same dog in an apartment with a first-time owner who works 10 hours a day is a different situation entirely. Not because the dog changed, but because nothing about that environment speaks to what the dog is. The rescues are full of the second situation. The warning was always available, it just wasn't attached to the price tag.